only completed less than 60% of his passes, and he faced three really bad defenses in those games.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks. I'm Jason, he's Vaz, and today we are continuing on with our buy-sell videos as we look at who we are selling or who we are not as bullish on for the upcoming season in 12-team SuperFlex Dynasty formats. Vaz, anything you want to add before we get started into our sell list?
Not a whole lot. I'll just say that normally when I'm selling players, I'm looking to either tier down or tier up. And obviously, but if I'm tiering down, I'm looking usually to add like a future first round pick if possible. And if I'm tiering up, I'll probably try to add like a later round pick usually that I don't value quite as much. So I'll get into that in more depth later, but that's usually how I approach these types of trades.
All right. And without any further ado, let's start off by taking a look at a quarterback that you are trying to get rid of or who you do not like in Dynasty at the time.
All right. So I think it's not going to be a popular choice. It's Anthony Richardson, who's currently valued as the quarterback 8 on Keep Trade Cut, and he's considerably further down considerably further down in my rankings. So I think there's a lot to like about him. He was the second overall pick in the NFL draft, and he flashed great ability in like a couple of games last season. But what he flashed was great running ability. He didn't flash that immense arm talent. I think I was calculating that he only completed less than 60% of his passes, and he faced three really bad defenses in those games. So I'm not sold that he's a great passer. I don't believe he is, based on the tape I watched before his rookie season. And then he hasn't proven that he can stay healthy. So in college or in the pros. So before I am ready to anoint him the next, top 10 quarterback in the NFL, I want to see him do it for a full season. So I don't think this quarterback 8 ranking is fair at all. There's no way I'm taking him over guys like Jordan Love and Kyler Murray.
Yeah, actually, I completely agree. I have him at number 13 on my dynasty rankings. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. He hasn't proven anything yet. I think that's the biggest issue that I have with him. And not only that, but he's shown that he can't stay healthy in multiple games. It seems like every time he goes out there and play, he crashes into someone and has to be removed from the game. That does bother me because doesn't have the ability to be available.
Yeah,
So
and
certainly.
if he's not a phenomenal passer, if he's a guy that relies on his legs and gets injured often, when he decides that he's going to, try to conserve his health and, maybe rush a little bit less, it takes away everything that he is as a fantasy football provider for your team, right?
Yeah, I fully agree. The quarterback that I am low on, apparently, compared to the rest of the community, and I was actually very surprised by this one, is Justin Herbert. I really thought that his value was going to tank after the draft, and it really hasn't. I mean, it's gone down a little bit, but not like the leaps and bounds that I took him down. And the reason that I brought him down so much wasn't because that he suddenly became a worse quarterback or that he doesn't have the weapons that he used to have, which is true. It's more because of what seems to be the philosophy that is changing within the Chargers. The fact that the new regime of coaching has come in. They said we're going to draft an offensive lineman first and foremost, even though we need wide receivers. So it just seems like they really want to run the ball. They're not looking to pass. If they have second half leads, they're going to be passing even less. So I just really don't believe in the philosophy of what's going on there. I think, it's almost as if Herbert's going to become more of a game manager than a gunslinger, and that bothers me based on his ranking.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'll add to it that I actually don't even believe in Justin Herbert that much. I think he has a losing record as a pro, and I think he's a good player, but I just don't think he has that killer instinct, that killer mentality that I want in a quarterback. And I haven't really seen it in the NFL since his second season. The past couple seasons have been kind of rough in my opinion. And then yeah, the coaching change doesn't benefit him. I think they have they've improved the line and they've given him a new weapon. So even though he lost a couple good weapons, he got another one in Land McConkey. So there's some potential, and that's maybe why he hasn't fallen as much. But I agree with you, he's lower than 9 for me as well.
Yeah, I've got him at 12, which is one ahead of Anthony Richardson. But yeah, that's clearly lower than the community has him, which I'm actually, like I said, quite surprised about. Let's talk about a running back that you are low on.
Okay, yeah. Before we get into the running back, actually, I'd like to just say if you want to trade these players, I want to give a suggestion. So, like, if I'm trying to trade Anthony Richardson, okay, who I have as my I think quarterback 13, and he's valued at the quarterback 8. If I want to trade Anthony Richardson, I'm looking to tier down to a guy I like say for example Jordan Love, and then add, if I can, a first round pick on top of it. So I'll send out an offer, Anthony Richardson for Jordan Love and a first round pick, and then if I get a counter back like Jordan Love and maybe a second and a third, I'm going to consider probably taking that because I prefer Jordan Love. But when I tier down, I try to add something on top, and then in my mind, I'm tiering up to a player I prefer, but I'm actually in the community rankings tiering down. So that's how I like to approach these types of trades.
Yeah, I like the plan. I would do the same thing, except I would replace Love with Jaden Daniels just because I'm so high on Jaden Daniels. Let's talk about your running back that you're low on.
Okay, so the running back I selected is Davante Achane, who is currently valued as the running back 6 on Keep Trade Cut, and he's my RB10. The reason is just about like volume. He's not going to get the volume I anticipate will push him into like a running back 1 for fantasy, and I think he's just valued too high by the community because he doesn't get the volume. I think he's a very talented player, and he flashed excellent home run ability in his rookie season. And I think he'll continue to do that. He's a very good football player. But yeah, if I have Devon Achane, I'm looking to tier down in a similar style to how I mentioned with Anthony Richardson. If I can take Devon Achane and turn him into Kenneth Walker, who I prefer, and add like a second round pick on top of that, that's something I'll do. If I can take Devon Achane and turn him into like Derrick Henry, who I really like for the next 2 seasons, and get a first on top, that's something I'm looking to do. That's actually an offer I sent out recently. So yeah, these are the types of offers I'm trying to make with Devon Achane.
All right. Yeah, I've got HN at 9, and I've got Walker at 7. So yeah, I would do that one in a heartbeat. The running back that I'm low on compared to the rest of the community is James Cook. And one of the reasons, first off, I mean, I was just never really a believer in him from day one, from his rookie season. Being Dalvin's little brother, is he going to be better than him? I never got the feel that he could live up to Dalvin's expectations personally. And then on top of that, he really hasn't so far. And on top of that, for this offseason, I really see Buffalo as a downgraded team. A lot of people have been saying that Buffalo's going through a transition right now. They said that, if you look at it from a Josh Allen perspective, he kind of had his first wave of opportunity and his first, stint in the NFL, but now there's going through like a transition where he's gearing up for a second stint, sort of how like Brady had two distinct stints of personnel that he was playing with, or Peyton Manning had two different personnel that he was playing through the course of their careers. And it's almost as if Josh Allen is going through that second stint, a bit of a transition. And I really wonder, is Buffalo even going to be a top 2 team in their own division? They could easily be the third best team in that division. So if you don't have third quarter leads, it means that you're not going to be getting as many touches. And I just don't believe in Buffalo as much this season as I have in the past. And on top of that, I've never really bought into James Cook. So he is way low on my list compared to the rest of the community.
Not to mention they just added a real pounder in the NFL draft, a guy who can get the hard yards and is probably going to be preferred on the goal line. So yeah, like I think James Cook, he's got some ability in the passing game, and he's good on like outside zone runs and that kind of thing. Like I think he's good when he hits the tackle. I'm not sure he's like an inside rusher. He's okay at it, but I think they're looking to use more of a committee there. And like you said, I think Buffalo, yeah, is trending down. I think they're going to be in a lot of tighter games where they're going to rely on Josh Allen's arm and Josh Allen's legs. And I don't think they're going to use James Cook that much, and they haven't in the past either. So I don't think that'll change. And then, like I said, they added a running back. So I like this one here. I think James Cook is a bit of a sell for me as well.
Yeah, I've honestly wondered what they see in him, or why the community is so high on him. But yeah, I'm definitely
I
much
think
lower. Mhm.
I think the allure is just that he's in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And then you know what? If he doesn't sign another contract there, he's only got 2 more years in Buffalo. So, his value could tank if he ever leaves Buffalo.
Yeah, I fully agree. Let's take a look at a wide receiver that you are low on.
Okay, a receiver I'm low on is Davante Adams. So he's currently ranked as the wide receiver 33 on Keep Trade Cut, but he didn't even break into my top 40. He would probably be, around 41 or 42 for me. But the fact is that, he's 31 and a half years old. So he's hitting that point that we saw with like Julio Jones. He's about to hit a cliff. I think he's still got another year left in him, but it's probably not much more than that. So I'm looking to sell now. A year too early is better than a year too late, as they say. So if I can take Davante Adams and tier down to a Chris Godwin, whose value less on Keep Trade Cut, but I prefer him. If I could tier down to a Chris Godwin and add a future second round pick, this is something I'm looking to do. You can add youth in two different ways, maybe get similar production at receiver, and or if I can, maybe trade Davante Adams altogether and grab like a rookie this season, like Adonai Mitchell, or take a swing there with like a Leggett or something like that. That's another thing I'm looking to do.
Yeah, I think ideally you would have traded Adams a year or two ago, but
Yeah.
if you haven't done so yet, then yeah, do it before it's not too late.
Now, I can't do it for you. The inches we need are everywhere around us. What are you gonna do? Like! 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 Subscribe! 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 Subscribe!
My guy for receiver that I'm low on, I think it's going to be pretty self-explanatory, but I'm low on Tyreek Hill compared to the community, and I think it's pretty simple. He is one of the best wide receivers, clearly. But my biggest issue is he has said that he wants to retire soon, and we don't know exactly when that's going to be yet. He hasn't said I'm going to play one more season or two more seasons. He said roughly about two or three more a year ago. So is that going to happen yet? I'll tell you this. If Tyreek Hill were to come out sometime in the very near future and say, you know what? I feel like I can play until I'm 40 and I want to play as long as I can. With a statement like that, he jumps up my rankings maybe into the top 5 of fantasy wide receivers for dynasty even. If he were to say something like that, but he's not, he hasn't been. And that concern, knowing that there's a ticking time bomb on when his career might end, not because of injury, not because of production, but just because he might decide to quit someday. I'm not comfortable with that. And that's why I have him even lower than the community right now.
Yeah, I seem to have him much lower in my rankings as well, and it's the same thing. Like he said, he's going to play until 30 at one point. Now he's 30 years old now, so yeah, he probably does have 2 years left. I imagine. If I were a betting man, I would say he's going to play 2 more years. But 2 years is not a long time in Dynasty. So, yeah, I think now is probably the appropriate time to sell. I mean, of course, it depends on the team you have. If you have a championship level roster, then you don't want to sell Tyreek because he's going to help you win. But if you're not, like if you're a middling team, then definitely sell Tyreek now. Go out and send messages out to the top teams in your league and see what you can get for him. It's possible you can get like a couple first round picks for him. Go out and do that. Maybe you can get, like a Jordan Addison in a first round pick or I don't know, something like that. People are really high on him, much higher
Yeah,
than I am.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Let's talk about tight ends. Which tight end are you low on?
Okay, I'm low on David Njoku, who is currently the tight end 10 on Keep Trade Cut, and I really don't get it. He hasn't done anything his entire career. He's never really flashed that much, apart from last season, which wasn't even that great of a season, just like a low end tight end one season. And then you know what? They added some receiving options in the offseason in Jerry Jeudy. So and it's a run first team. They're going to get Nick Chubb back. The whole offense is going to change. The offense was centered around Amari Cooper and David Njoku last year, and I'm not sure that it's going to be this year. So I don't think Njoku is a tight end one in redraft or in dynasty. And if I have Njoku on my team, I'm looking to tier up or tier down using a method like I said before. Tearing down and grabbing a future draft pick, or tearing up and using a pick or a player I'm not so high on, like a Quinn and Johnson or something like that, to tier up to a better tight end.
Yeah, the tight end position is about as deep as it's ever been. There's a lot of good tight ends that could help you win a championship or keep you on par or on pace with the other teams that have good tight ends as well. To me, David Njoku is not one of those guys. He's not on my list. I think I have him ranked like 15 or 16 in my rankings. Yes, he had a good season last year, but I'm more of a believer of what he's done in the past, and last year was more of an outlier than the beginning of a new tier for him. So yeah, I totally agree. The guy that I am low on is actually, I'm going to say Ben Sinnott. And the reason I'm saying this is, like I said, I think for the upper tier of tight ends, I think it's pretty well appropriately ranked right now. I think, whatever order it is, I think they're all in a similar tier. You said it before, like the guys from 2 to 7 on your list, you can mix them up and shuffle them, and who cares? Because 2 to 7, it really doesn't make too much of a difference on your list. My list is a little bit different in terms of the tier, but it's a similar idea of the guys in tier 2 and tier 3. The tiers are so big in those groups for me that it really doesn't matter. So in the upper area, I'm fine. What I don't like about Sinnott, a couple of things. Number one, I see him going earlier than some of the decent wide receivers or even running backs in rookie drafts. So I think he's being rated a little bit highly compared to the other guys in rookie drafts. Secondly, I think you might be able to get him next year at a similar cost, if not a lower cost, than you might be able to get him this year, because he's not going to be the day one starter. They've got Zach Ertz there. Yes, Ertz gets injured. We can probably expect an injury at some point, but the fact that I don't think Sinnott's going to hit the ground running in Washington, I think it's going to take him a year or so. So it might be a situation where you can he can be a buy low guy for you next season if you really do like him, but I don't see the point in paying up for him yet in terms of this season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think last season we were really lucky. We had the best tight end draft class pretty much in NFL history.
Yeah.
And all of these guys hit immediately. This just does not happen. Tight end is one of the most difficult positions to learn in the NFL. And I think it's possible Ben Sinnott was overdrafted because of the lack of tight ends in the draft. So he got pushed up a little bit. And like you said, he's got Ertz in front of him. He's not going to be the tight end one to start the season. So yeah, definitely there's going to be a better time to buy. Now is not it. He's going to decline in value this when the season starts because he's not going to put up the production.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. These are players that we are low on. Before we wrap up, Vaz, any final thoughts about what we talked about today completely?
Yeah, I'll just give a suggestion, and that's like, make your own rankings, like I've done in previous videos. Make your own rankings, and then check out how the community values those guys, and try to tier down using your own rankings when in fact you're tiering up. You can add a piece to tier down, right? You can add a piece, and then that's how you win trades in Dynasty. This is how you build a really strong Dynasty team, is by tiering down in the community's eyes, but in fact you're tiering up and adding another piece to your Dynasty team.
Okay, there you have it. Some wise words from the Dynasty Master himself. And remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join our Facebook group as well. There's a link to that group in the descriptions below, so click on that and join our community to talk about Dynasty Fantasy Football as well. Otherwise, we will see you next time on another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks.